Good afternoon, everybody. It's Kalini Kent here, and it's lovely to have you all visiting with us today. In the studio today, as part of my In Conversation with series, I've got a lovely gentleman to meet you all. His name is James Baker, and he has a fascinating job of being a caddy for the elite golfers in the community and in the world. So I'd like to welcome into the studio with us James Baker.
Hi.
Hello, James. It's lovely to have you here, my dear. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Kalini. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
It's great, and thank you so much, because we've actually arranged this sort of a bit at short notice, haven't we, actually? And it's been fantastic in the last few days, just getting to know you. We've had a few conversations, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
So I just want to mention to everybody that we do welcome your comments or your questions, because I'm sure a lot of you will have some questions, because what I've been finding out about the life of a caddy is quite amazing, actually. It's quite an exciting lifestyle, though an interesting lifestyle, isn't it, James?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, very different to what you might imagine. Yeah.
So we're going to find out about that, but I just wanted to mention it to anybody. If you please do say hello and tell us that you're here with us. Let us know that you, with a chat in the comments. If you want your name to show, you do need to give StreamYard permission. But first of all, let me start by saying today is supposed to be a very busy day for you, but it isn't, is it, James?
No, it's not, unfortunately. Tomorrow should have been my wedding day, but sadly, because of this tough year for everyone, with COVID, we've had to postpone it until May next year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be closer to normal then.
And I think you were also telling me as well how, in fact, you got engaged earlier on this year, didn't you?
No, we got engaged. We got engaged in March last year, 2019.
Oh, last year.
Yeah, so we'd planned to get married in the December this year, because usually December is quite a quiet month for me. So yeah, we were geared up for December this year, and throughout the whole year we've been quite optimistic that we could go ahead in December and everything be cleared up by then. But sadly not. But we'll look forward to spring next year.
And unfortunately, Laura isn't with us today, is she?
No, sadly not. No.
But hopefully, she might be very good in listening in. And if you are listening in, Laura, please do say hello. And if anybody else is listening, do let us know, because I can see some eyes on the clock, so I can see that some people are with us. Rumour has it that Nick Bianchi should be listening as well today.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's an avid supporter of myself, so I'm sure he'll be tuning in.
So now that you're not so it's May next year, is it? You're going to be planning that? Yeah,
we're planning it for May next year, all being well. We're open to having to change it again if the worst happens. But I think we're both quite optimistic that we'll be able to go ahead in May. So We're both really looking forward to it now.
Well, it's fantastic. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to be sharing with everybody some of the work you do and the nature of the job, and what it entails, what skill set is ideal for it, and how it affects your lifestyle as well, because I think there is a dramatic impact on your lifestyle, isn't there?
Yeah.
So what we'll do, but I thought first of all, in fact, I just want to say, oh, hello, this is somebody watching. Hello, Kalini. Hey, Kalini and James. Lennon, is he a mate of yours?
No, I don't recognise the name, actually. No, but hello.
Oh, well, lovely to have you here, Lennon. And do anybody else who wants to say anything, we will show your comments. So, James, you are actually a local to Macclesfield, aren't you? You were born in Nottingham, you told me, but you actually have lived in Macclesfield and Titherington with your parents and so on. And so tell me, how has that evolved?
Yeah, that's correct. I was born in Nottingham. My family's from Nottingham. And then we moved to Macclesfield when I was 3, because my dad took a job in Manchester. So I've been in Macclesfield ever since, really. Grew up in just over towards Valleybroom High School. So went to Valleybroom High School, and then moved over to Titherington when I was 12 years of age.
Yeah. So how did your golfing interest start? Because you've been obviously a good sportsman generally, because I think you told me that you were very good at cricket and good at football, and then you took up golf, in fact, quite late, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I played lots of sports growing up. My main sports were cricket and football. I'd play in the winter time. I'd be playing two or three games of football the weekends, and then in the summer I'd be playing cricket on a Saturday and Sunday. Played county cricket, played for Cheshire, which was great. And then, we moved over to Titherington when I was 12, 13, joined the Titherington club with my father. and we both got hooked on the golf. And then I just fell in love with the sport, and everything got put to one side, the cricket and the football, and I just focused on golf and wanted to play every day, all day after that, really.
And was it your dream then, after you got into it, to actually then become a pro?
Yes, it really was. That was my number one goal at the time, was to become a professional golfer, whether in the playing aspect of it or the teaching side. But that was my dream. So yeah,
I think you told me it's led to quite an exciting development, where you actually went over to South Africa to a special school for it. Do you want to tell us about that? Because it sounds really exciting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, I actually was I was working at Mottram Hall golf shop part-time, and then I was focusing on my golf. But I thought it needed a change, so I decided to take myself off to South Africa for a year, to a golf school of excellence there, and they involved sort of the fitness side of the game, the psychological side of the game, and also, we played tournaments within the golf school to try and improve myself as a golfer and as a person, really, which was a fantastic experience. I really, really enjoyed my time there.
And what sort of would a typical sort of training day be like? I mean, was it a long hours, or were you doing education as well, or were you just focusing on the golf?
Well, yeah, it was quite long hours. I mean, we'd be practicing the technical aspect of the game in the morning, and then in the afternoon we'd be working in the gym, or we'd be working with a sports psychologist, and then we'd play tournament. We'd play a tournament within the school every Friday, which was always great fun after putting all the effort in throughout the week, and then to have a tournament situation at the end of the week against all the other guys from the golf school was great. Really, it was such a great experience.
Did you meet some exciting people as well?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because I lived in an apartment there in Pretoria. I lived with one guy from up in Botswana in the north of Africa, one guy from down in Durban. So from completely different backgrounds. One guy from Botswana lived on a farm. I'm from England near Manchester, and we all got on really well, became great friends, and still are now.
Do you know, I think that must be such an amazing life experience as well, because not many people get that opportunity to mix with so many socially, diverse people and ethnic diversity. It must have been amazing for you.
Yeah, I mean, at 20 years of age, I learned a lot. I'd lived at home. I didn't really, I learned how to fend for myself. I didn't do a great deal at home before I moved to South Africa, and then realized that I had to do everything for myself, which was really good for me. And then I learned so much, like you say, from different cultures. I never really imagined, really. So no, it was really good for me in that respect.
Yeah, and I think it must be for a lot of people quite character building, because as you said, you had the sort of dependency at home, but then all of a sudden thrust into a situation like that.
Yeah, I grew a lot of confidence from it, for sure. Just to be able to know that I could fend for myself more and do things more independently, and not have to rely on anyone, which was really good for that. I really would recommend it to anyone who's interested in going to travel, especially.
And then when you came back, how long did that last? How long were you there for?
I was there for just under 12 months. Yeah.
And then what made you? So you came back to England, and I think you had the decision to make as to whether you were going to pursue a career as a professional.
Yeah, I came back to England and things didn't work out as planned with my golf, unfortunately. So I decided to hang the clubs up for a while and look at doing various different things. I started in a sales job. I was selling office stationery and printing. I was turning up in Manchester, knocking on people's doors, trying to sell office stationery, which I think that job lasted about 6 weeks for me. It wasn't for me. It just didn't motivate me, just didn't enjoy it at all. So I went to work in Prestbury, actually. It was a bar called Nice Bar.
I remember it.
Yeah. I used to work behind the bar there 3 or 4 nights a week, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the atmosphere, and then in the daytime I used to do a bit of like background work, extra work on TV adverts, soaps, that kind of thing. So that was that was good fun. Yeah.
From one extreme to the other.
I know, Yeah, it's amazing how things turn out, right?
And then we've both got, in that respect, a theatrical background. So I mean, I'm in theatre and acting and performing and getting people to perform on stage effectively. So that must be quite exciting, actually.
I just want to say one thing. I definitely wasn't an actor, put it that way. I was quite happy to stand in the background, smile away.
Did you meet any famous people through it?
Yeah, I mean, we mix with, you know, the people that were the actors and actresses from the shows and stuff a little bit, but nothing, you know, too much really. Say hello, etc. But
yeah. So did you see that as really just as a stopgap at the time, or was it?
Yeah, it was never. That was never. That was kind of while I was in the transition, really, and kind of because I got my heart set on playing golf. You know, I put quite a lot into that for a few years and realised that maybe it wasn't the way forward for me. So then it was kind of right. Let's, you know, try and reset things and think about what I was going to do next. And yeah, so it was one evening I was working in the restaurant, and this is when I became to get a phone call from Jamie Donaldson to ask me to go and caddy for him the following week. There was a tournament over in Worsley at the Marriott Challenge Tour event.
Yeah.
And he said, "Would you like to come and caddy for me next week?" So I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, let me just chat with my boss at NICE at the time and see if we could get the week off work next week." And he let me go and do it. He was great, very supportive in that way. So don't worry, you go and do what you need to do. And then that was it. 14 seasons later, I'm still caddying.
So I mean, caddying was obviously you'd been thinking about, you know, being a professional. So to go become a caddy, was it something was that on the radar at all, or did it just evolve?
It wasn't on the radar. No, I mean, playing golf in the area in Macclesfield and everything, I knew Jamie reasonably well, but no, it never really popped up. And that phone call came, and I was like, you know, I thought great, because obviously I would have liked to have been involved in the sport in some capacity. So the fact that to go and caddy for him, I never knew at the time that it would become my job for the next 14 years. I have no idea. I thought it could just be for 1 week. You know, I think it's all dependent on how that week went with myself and Jamie, really.
And in fact, I mean, because Jamie, I don't know for people who don't really know all of the golfing fraternity and who people are. I mean, he's been quite you know, quite a famous person really at different times. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
well, Jamie's had a very successful career. He a lot of people will remember, especially in the golfing world, him hitting the winning shot at the Ryder Cup at Glen Eagles. You know, and he's had a very successful career, and he's still a very good golfer right now. So yeah, and he obviously grew up in Macclesfield, so Macclesfield born and bred.
So what is the skill set? I mean, obviously you went into that and you probably hadn't had any training as such, but what is the skill set required for a caddy?
I think one of the main skill sets is to have a good understanding of the game to start with, to have a good knowledge of golf. And then there's lots of things off the back of that, really. I think you really need to be a very patient person and have driven, enthusiastic, positive, want to do well just as much as the golfer wants to do well, to get behind him, really.
And in fact, we've talked about how you know, when you were telling me like a typical day in the life of a caddy, it isn't, there's a glamorous side to it, I'm sure, because you're traveling the world potentially and you're going to all these exciting events, but there's also a not so glamorous side because of the lifestyle impact on you, isn't there?
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong, there's obviously there is a glamorous side to it. Don't get me wrong. You know, like you say, we go to some fantastic places all around the world, doing what we love. But obviously, there is some sacrifices alongside it. You know, we spend pretty much half of the year away from home, albeit this year pretty different. But usually, you're living out of a suitcase a lot, staying in hotels. You're away from your close family and friends. But generally, you know, it has lots of positives.
Yeah.
We follow the sun basically, and go to some of the most amazing golf courses in the world. So, you know. Yeah,
because I think you've told me about some of the amazing places you've been to. Go on, tell us a few of them.
Yeah, well, the job's fortunately taken me all over the world. I've been down to Australia a few times, South Africa, Singapore, India, China, obviously South Africa again, all around Europe. So I've been very lucky to see some of the places that I have done through working through the caddying.
And in fact, this year, I think you said has been quite an amazing year for you, because you've also been to Abu Dhabi, where you were caddying for Lee Westwood.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you? And in fact, I mean, you've shown. I have shared a few photos. Have you got anything that you can show us memorabilia?
Yeah, actually, I've got the flag here from the 18th green from Abu Dhabi this year.
Fantastic.
Which is something a caddy will always take home with him as a memento from the week. So Lee very kindly signed that flag for me. And
oh, go on, let's have a look at the signature again.
You can see it on there.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah. I just want to share that Nick is listening. Thank you. Great interview, guys. Oh, thank you, Nick. Lovely to have you here. And in fact, I did meet and connect with you, James, didn't I, through Nick, which was fantastic.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
It's been lovely getting to know you. So go on, let's talk about the day in the life then of a caddy, because you've said to me that, you know, mindset is so important, because your relationship with your golfer is like about sort of 99% of it, because you are the person with that golfer all the way through that tournament. Basically, you are their right-hand man in a sense, aren't you? So I think there's many roles to it, isn't there? Do you want to explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I spend more time with a golfer than I do with my fiance, probably. So, like you said, 99% of it is the relationship you have between caddy and professional golfer. You've got to get on. You need to get on a personal level, I'm sure, for it to work. Because if you didn't get on, then it becomes very difficult because of the amount of time you spend with each other. So I think that's very important to have a good bond between the two, for sure.
And then, because you are there with them, and sometimes, like, if their confidence is dipping or their motivation needs boosting up a bit, you're also there as a sort of a mentor in a sense, or aren't you?
Yeah, of course. You want to be a calming influence as well, especially, you know, when he's under pressure. You know, the last thing you want is for you to be nervous as well. So I think that's a big part of it, is to stay calm as much as you can at all times. And then, when things aren't going so well, it's important for us to be positive, to keep your man going, keep him believing in himself, basically, that anything's possible. So and then when things are going well, when they're playing well, it's kind of just keeping them going, and, you know, having a laugh as you go around, really. Yeah,
there must be obviously the exciting side of it as well. But and you were saying that, so say a typical tournament, say if that's say Thursday through to Sunday, is that average length usually?
Yeah. Most tournaments are played over 4 days, 72 holes.
Yeah. And then what you would go in advance, I think, and scout it out and check out the weather and the grout and everything. Do you want to?
So. The usual week would be, especially for caddy, would be to start on Monday by doing your homework on the golf course and trying to work out your strategy for the week. Because we go to so many different places around the world, each golf course is different. So you want to make sure you have a good look at the golf course and try and get your strategy together for that week. You want to get a good understanding of how the golf course is playing, you know, different grasses, that kind of thing. Is the golf course, has it had a lot of rain? Is it soft? Is it firm? Those kind of things. Just to make sure you're prepared for the week, for anything to come up that might try and trick you up, if you like.
And is that over a period of time that you build up that level of knowledge and experience and know-how? Yeah,
so you're trying to do that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which are generally your practice days leading up to the tournament starting on Thursday. So obviously we do go back to some golf courses year on year. We go back to the same golf courses. So you know, once you've been out there for a few years, you get a good understanding of each different golf course. But then things change as time goes on. You know, the golf courses change and develop. sometimes they make changes to them. So it's important to have a good understanding of what's in front of you, really.
And then I suppose it must be quite challenging as well during the actual tournament itself. Say the weather changes from day to day, or in direction, or
that's where I spend most of my life, on my weather apps, especially when I'm traveling, keeping my eye on the weather. We're always, although we so-called follow the sun, we can still come across some pretty horrendous weather as well. So we're always praying for good conditions.
Yeah. Do you know what I think is wonderful about this is that, I've watched golf, but I think to a lot of people as well, you really, your focus tends to be on the golfer, but you actually play quite a pivotal role, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, obviously we don't go as far as hitting the shots. So, that's up to the golfer. But yeah, of course, I think we do play a big part in it, probably more so than people would imagine.
Yeah. Do you give advice on which club to use? Or?
Yes, of course. Yeah. We keep an eye on the wind direction throughout the day, trying to make sure, because that can play a big deciding factor on what club you use on certain different shots, different holes. So it's important. But yeah, I mean, obviously the main responsibility is the golfer and to hit the golf shots, but we just try and help them along the way as best we can.
And do you know what's interesting about this is that like we've talked about how we've both played team sports, and people see golf as a very solitary sport, because it's down to you at the end of the day. That you're doing so much preparation in advance, aren't you? And then it's down to that final shot, which can make or break the tournament, can't it?
Yeah, of course. Like we said, with team sports, let's use football for an example. You have 11 players on a team, and sometimes one player can have an amazing game and win the match for them. Obviously, that's very different in sports like golf or individual sports. You've only got yourself, haven't you? And if you don't perform, you don't win, kind of thing. So. But yeah, obviously, there's what people don't see as well is what goes into a professional golfer. Their team, they have a team behind them to support them. Going from, they have a technical coach, and then they'll have a strength and conditioning coach, somebody to work with on their mindset, and then they'll have their management group, and then myself, with the caddy. So that there is a team behind a golfer. But once the gun goes off on the golf course, it's down to himself, and then the likes of me, a caddy, to help him along the way.
At what stage do you get involved in that process? I mean, I presume you must have team meetings where you're discussing strategy. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Of course, we have a team meeting. The team meetings come and go throughout the year. But yeah, obviously, myself and the golfer will discuss a strategy for that week at the beginning of the week, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, leading up to the tournament. And then sometimes you might change your strategy throughout the week, depending on what you need to do. If you're, you need to get closer to the leader or whatever it may be on a Friday afternoon, you might be needing to make the cut, or on a Sunday, if you're chasing the win. It all depends. Your strategy can change throughout the week sometimes. So that's kind of an ongoing process.
And on a day-to-day basis, then, how much of it is obviously there's the actual playing itself, but then there is a sort of like quite an infrastructure behind it in terms of like your diet and your exercise and all that. Yeah,
of course. I mean, as we know, it's important to stay healthy and try and be as fit as possible. I think injury prevention's a big thing. It's become a big thing over the last few years. It's important for likes of myself carrying the golf bag around to stay fit and strong, because I want to be able to caddy for a long period of time. So I don't want to be struck down with any injuries. And it's the same thing for a golfer. Golfers work very hard on their general well-being and their fitness and strength to be able to perform better, but also to prevent injury so they can play for longer. And I think golfers generally are playing longer than they were because they look after themselves more.
And is the 19th hole still very well frequented?
It is when you win. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so it should be, once you put a lot of work in, and if, for instance, you to have a win, you should definitely celebrate it. Yeah, for sure. But I think, it's more important to look after yourself and stay fit and strong.
So what would be your regime like? Do you do regularly working out to keep your fitness levels there?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I try and work as hard as possible when it comes to gym work. I really enjoy it. It makes me, feel good in lots of different ways. So yeah, I don't train as much when I'm away working, because I want to save, as much energy as I possibly can to be out on the golf course. But when I'm off on my off weeks, I'll generally work pretty hard on my fitness. So.
Mm. And in fact, can I just share this comment from I think it's Kev Ronan. Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, do you know him?
No, I don't. No. Hi, Kev.
Yeah, so a really interesting and enjoyable conversation, Kalini and James. Thanks. Oh, actually, Kevin, yes, I have recently connected with him. Sorry, Kevin, I didn't recognise at first. Kevin is a friend of mine who I've recently connected with, actually, on a work capacity. Thank you, Kevin. Lovely to have you listening as well. And do say hello. And I see a lot of eyes watching. And do put any comments, or if you have any questions as well of James, please do, because I'm sure he's happy to answer any questions. I think we've talked a lot as well about the mindset of it, because I think you've got to be strong mentally, haven't you? I mean, people talk about, sort of they have, as you said, a golfer, and a lot of tennis players and a lot of top elite athletes, they do have the mindset coach, because it's very much about, you don't focus in on what you've done wrong. Like if you've had a bad shot, you've only got to look forward, haven't you? And matter. So
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead.
Yeah, you've got to. If you don't believe in yourself, then nobody else will they? So I think it's important to believe in yourself, and like you say, stay positive and look forward. If things don't work out to plan straight away, you've just got to keep working hard and keep believing in yourself, and just know that anything's possible. Especially in golf, anything is possible. It can change overnight. I've seen it in lots of different situations where, things aren't going so well, confidence-wise, whatever, and you're not getting the results you really want, or you feel like because of the work you're putting in, you feel like you should be getting more out of it. So it's important to stay patient and just believe in yourself and believe you're doing the right things, and then the results will come.
Mm-hmm.
It really will.
And you've said that you travel you're away about 6 months of the year. Is that sort of like on non-stop, or do you like come home for a bit, go away?
Yeah, you come home for a while. It all depends. I mean, it can be anything between 25 and 30 weeks of the year, let's say. But the most you'll probably do is 3 to 4 week stints. And then you maybe come home for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it may be. And then you'll be back out for a while. Or you could just literally go away 1 week for a tournament, then home for a week, and then back away again. So it can vary depending on their schedule.
So this is where I suppose it really, really does impact on your lifestyle, doesn't it? Because I suppose we've talked about how I think for the golfers, they can sometimes take their families with them. Mm-hmm. But is it whether it's realistic for a caddy to do that because of the expense of that?
Yeah, it can be. Obviously, it can be quite expensive to take your family away with you. And the thing is, as well, I always look at it like this: if I want to take Laura with me or whatever, when I'm away, I'm working, so I'm not really there. If you know what I mean, I'm working all day, and Laura has she works at home. She has her own life, and it's like we'd rather spend the time together when I'm off. Go on holiday or whatever. Rather, she will come to a few events with me, but generally, it's better for me to be when I'm working. Because I won't get much time to spend with her anyway. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll be making sure that you're not away when it's your wedding next May.
No, I'll make sure I'm not away for that.
But you talked about, obviously, the importance of the fitness side of it for the longevity of the sport and being able to continue. I mean, what is the average sort of career span of both a golfer and a caddy?
Well, it really depends from a caddy's perspective. Obviously, as long as your bodily able lets you do it, you can caddy for as long as you want. I mean, there's a few guys still caddying in their 60s. So providing you're fit enough and you still enjoy it and you're still hungry to do well, then yeah. And I think it's the same. I think the golfing careers, like I said before, it's got longer because guys are taking care of themselves and making sure they're fit and healthy. And so really, yeah, there was one instance. Bernard Langer was playing, a German golfer was playing the Masters a couple of weeks back, and not 100% on his age. I don't want to, but he's still competing. I'm pretty sure he's nearly 60 years of age, or might even be, and he's still up there competing. So, you know, providing you're fit and healthy, there's no reason why not.
And I suppose just like in tennis, there's, you know, like you've got people like McEnroe who still play in tournaments and stuff. You said that, I mean, like Lee is what, he's 47 now, isn't he? So he's, but there's also the seniors tour potential, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, Lee's 47 years of age. He's still inside the top 50 of the world rankings, you know, and he's still got lots left to give. And yeah, they have an option of when they turn 50 if they want to go and play on the seniors tour, which is still a very competitive tour. But I mean, I think a lot of guys, if they're still competing on the main tours, the major tours, the PGA Tour of America and the European Tour, if they're still competing on those tours, then they'll carry on playing until they feel like they can't maybe compete as much on there, and then they move on to the seniors tour and become still as competitive on there, which is great. It's great that that exists to give them the opportunity to carry on playing if they still love doing it, love competing.
I mean, what other alternative careers are there? I mean, apart from, like, say, for example, if you chose for your lifestyle reasons not to carry on caddying, you know, what other options are there?
I'm sure there's loads of options. You know, I would love to, if I ever did stop caddying, I'd love to carry on doing something within the sport, whether it be in the management side of things, maybe not so much the coaching aspect of the game, because that's not really my thing, but yeah, maybe management or events, or, I mean, I don't know. I've not thought about it too much, you know, because I love what I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, I'm sure there'd be some opportunities come up if I decided to go down a different path.
Yeah. And there's something I'm sure everybody would love to know is, what is the, I'm not asking you your personal circumstances, but what is the income potential of a caddy? Because you've told me that it's all commission based, isn't it? Yes. Based on what the golfer that you're caddying for is earning.
Yes, it is commission based. It's, you know, it's results driven in a way. So obviously the better you do, the better the golfer plays, the better the caddy does. You know, I think most people know well, maybe not, but Steve Williams, who used to caddy for Tiger Woods, was once classed as the highest paid sportsman in New Zealand. Yeah, obviously there is great earning potential in what I do, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and so effectively, are you sort of tending to sort of stick with one person once you're caddying for that one person? Do you stick with that person all the time? You don't sort of mix and match and go with somebody a different week?
It depends, really. I mean, if you're majority of the time you caddy for one person, yeah, and you put all your time and effort into that one person. But sometimes you might only just do 2 weeks for one guy on a part-time basis, and then maybe work for someone else for a few weeks. It all depends, but majority of the time, you know, we would just caddy for one golfer at a time, and that's it, really. But then it depends how long that relationship lasts for. You know, it could last for 6 months, a year, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Who knows?
Fantastic. And then there is also the sponsorship potential, because I've noticed in the pictures I've looked at, you're wearing ping hats and all sorts.
Yeah,
how does that work?
I guess that all comes off the back of the golfer, really. I mean, for instance, Lee, you know, Lee's a ping brand, ping golfer. So yeah, I would wear the hat for Lee, which would then entail some sponsorship from that. And also, when I was caddying for Martin Kaymer, he was Hugo Boss, so I would wear the Hugo Boss hat, which is great. It's just an added bonus, really.
And then you said you've I mean, do you get given all of that gear as, you know, to keep, or is it just wearing it during it?
Yeah, no, you get given the equipment to wear. So obviously, if your golfer's wearing, so as an example again with Martin, if he's wearing Hugo Boss, you would then be wearing Hugo Boss too. to be, part of the team, if you like. And yeah, so which is great, which is really nice to be able to walk around in nice stuff.
Fantastic. So, if you were sort of somebody, I'm sure if there are any young people listening or watching, or people who are avid golfers themselves, what would you say to them if they were looking at sort of like taking it up as a career?
With the caddying, it's not an easy thing to get into. I was very fortunate, really. I think, a lot of caddies come through growing up, maybe playing golf with their friend who's very good at golf and becomes a professional player and says, hey, do you fancy come and caddy for me? Similar situation with me and Jamie, really. I think that's how a lot of people get into caddying. But there is options, if you've got a great knowledge of the game and you want to get into the caddying side of it. I think there's an option to maybe go to an event and see if you can, if somebody's looking for a caddy that week. You never know, that could lead into caddying for them full time. You just don't know. But I think you need to generally, obviously have a good understanding of the game. One of your friends or whoever might say to you, do you want to come and caddy for me next week in an event, and go from there, really.
And it sounds like it's a fairly niche market.
Yeah, there's not something you can't, I don't think you can go, there's no such thing as like a caddy school, if you like, or where you go to, to learn your trade and then you get into the caddying side of things as such. But maybe that's something that will come in the future. Who knows? Yeah,
because I think we talked about how it's not as if it's sort of like a direct route into it. You were just lucky, right place, right time, and you knew Jamie Donaldson from Macclesfield because he's a Macclesfield lad, and that's how you got into it.
Yeah, and I never actually thought I would get into it. I never, if you'd have asked me 15, 20 years ago, will you be a golf caddy traveling the world? I'd looked at you like, no, I wouldn't know how to get into that. It's just
I think when you said like last December, one of your caddying roles came to an end, and then luckily Lee just contacted you and said, "Come and do this for me."
Yeah, because I finished the Martin at the end of we decided to part ways at the end of 2019, and then the phone call came in for Lee probably only about a week later, and it was just to do 3 events for him at the start of the year. Just because also Lee's fiance Helen caddies for him too, so he just needed a bit of help at the start of the year for 3 weeks. Me and Lee didn't really know each other that well at that point. Turned up in Dubai. He did a couple of days practice in Dubai, and then we went over to Abu Dhabi. And within a week, he'd won the first tournament of the year in Abu Dhabi, which was just amazing. Really, it was a real pair of events, from finishing with Martin a few weeks previous to that, to then going to the Middle East with Lee and then winning the golf tournament. It was just, it took a while to sink in, really. It was all happened very quickly. But it was certainly a highlight of my perspective. It was amazing. Yeah.
Is that would you say that is one of your highlights of your life, really?
In terms of my caddying career, it's the biggest highlight. Yeah, for sure. Because I love that event anyway. I love going to Abu Dhabi in January as the first event of the year. You go into a fantastic golf course with fantastic weather, and then for Lee to win just made it, really.
Yeah. Oh wow. And so what is, where are you going with it now? I mean, what is your intention for the future?
For the future, well, I'm looking for a more permanent role from January for next year. There's a couple of options on the table at the moment that I'm considering. So, yeah, it's exciting, really. It's exciting because I don't know what's around the corner, I'm excited to get into a new challenge with a new golfer and see what the future holds, really.
And I think you said you're having a few discussions at the moment, which we can't talk about.
No, there's a few discussions going on. So it's just, I just want it to be right for me, really, and something that I can get excited about and look forward to a new challenge, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to, have you any other highlights that have come up in sort of amazing tournaments or amazing experiences you want to share with us?
Yeah, well, I back in 2015, I was working for David Horsey at the time. He won in Denmark, and that was my first win with somebody caddying, so that was special. because I'd started caddy in 2007, so it took till 2015 till the first win came along. Had quite a few, close calls, especially with Jamie, second places, etc. So it was really nice to experience that, and what a great tournament over in Denmark as well. It's just lots of spectators there. It's a great week so that was really nice. That was good. That was one of my other main highlights of the caddying, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and looking back now, you are now where you are, and you've been doing it 14 years. If you looking back, is this where you sort of saw yourself, or did it just happen?
Is it where I saw myself before I started caddying?
Yeah. Because did you ever think that this would be your career?
I think growing up, I always saw myself being involved in sport in some capacity. What sport at the time I didn't know, because I was playing loads of different ones. But I always sort of dreamt of being involved in sport, in professional sport. Yeah. So it's really great to be part of it. I know if I wasn't involved in it now, I'd miss it.
It just sounds so lovely hearing you talk about it, because you've obviously got a passion for it. You clearly enjoy the sport, and in fact, we were only messaging last night, didn't it? I shared a little quote, didn't I? To share what that was, because do what you love what you do. I sent you a message, didn't I? Because we were talking about your passion for doing this and why you enjoy it and what you do. Yeah,
no, it's very important for me to do something that I enjoy, because I just know if I'm not enjoying it, then I won't be giving all I've got, really. But I know if it's something that I enjoy, I know I will give my utmost to do well at it and put everything into it that I have. So.
And I think that is a lovely place to be in, isn't it? Because there are so many people who do their job, but it isn't really their passion either. And
no, definitely not.
Do something that's your passion as well as your income. It's really fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very fortunate, and I know that I'm very lucky to be able to work within the sport that I love. You don't get that many opportunities to do that. And I'm really thankful for that. And, like you say, doesn't always come up where your job can be involved in something that you love to do, which I'm very, very grateful for, really.
Can I share Laura, your fiance?
Yeah, there she is.
I'm so pleased you're listening, Laura. I know
I thought she'd be sick of hearing me this year. Listen to me.
Oh no! Well, she's going to have to get used to it. She's going to be married to you.
Yeah, I know. Of course, yeah, of course.
Oh, thank you very much, Laura. That's really good to know. And I look forward to hearing more about your wedding plans and for next year. Thank you so much for listening. But so, is there anything else you wanted to share? There's been so much has come out of this for me, because I've watched. I think I shared with you how my first ever experience on a golf course was in America, and I went out for the day on it was with ICI on a company golfing day, and we had buggies as well. And yet I was out for 8 hours because I was hitting so many. We stopped at 8 counting the shots, so that was my worst and my most significant experience of golf. But I have on driving ranges, and they're fun.
Yeah, but the most important thing, because you were out for 8 hours, did you enjoy it the whole time?
I did.
I
laughed all the way through it, because laughed at myself and people.
Exactly. Well, that's the main thing in golf. Golf's one of those sports that's you've got to be very patient with it, and it takes time. But the most important thing is that when you're playing it, you're enjoying it, and it's. Some people let it get to them too much, and you shouldn't, because ultimately it's a sport at the end of the day, and we're there to enjoy sport. And I think sports played a big role this year for sure.
Actually, talking about this year, what has been the situation with COVID and golf?
Golf, obviously, golf courses were shut for a period of time, but I think they were one of the first things to open back up this year, and I think it's fantastic for people to be outdoors playing golf. It's great for mental health purposes. To be out walking outside with your friends, having a laugh on the golf course. I think it's one sport that you don't have to get too close to people if you don't want. and I think it's played a big role this year with people. You know, I think a lot of people have taken up golf this year for that reason, and I think it's great. It really is.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, because you are in the outdoors and you can definitely stay 2 meters apart.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, because one guy's normally over in the right trees, one guy's in the left tree. So there's no reason to get too close to each other, is there?
So, I mean, what do you do to, whilst you're not whilst you're not on the tours? Do you go out and do a driving range? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how much time I'm away. Usually if I'm working a lot, I'll come home for a week, and most of my time is spent catching up with Laura. That's the most important thing for me, is spending time with Laura when I'm at home. But yeah, there is, I will go and have a game of golf with my dad and some friends, and to relax. But yeah, usually a week off for me is just recuperating, spending time with my family and friends, and keeping fit, going to the gym and things like that. And
well, do you know what? I would just love to thank you so much, because this has been a wonderful insight for me, and I'm sure it's been a wonderful insight for everybody who's been listening. Some people might have known a little bit about the caddying side of things, but I think most people focus on the golfer, and I think it's just so lovely because you obviously clearly play such an important role. And I also want to last of all say as well, I just think it's so wonderful that you actually enjoy what you do so much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Kalini. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking the time to bring me on to this, and which I've really enjoyed speaking to you over the last few days. Helping you with your understanding of golf as well, and you learning more about a golf caddy, and because it's a lot different to how people would see it, and I hope people get a better understanding of it now off the back of this, which is great.
That's fantastic. Don't worry, I won't be asking you to teach me to play golf.
No problem. Anytime you need any help.
We might be out for a long time though, James.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm not the best coach, if you like, on the swing, but I can help you out. I'm sure. I'd like to think I'd be able to bring your round of golf time down from 8 hours. That'd be
I think
sure
that
I can help you with that.
Since then I've done only 9s.
Yeah. How long did the 9 holes take?
I think it's a few hours.
A few hours, okay. Well,
but I do like going to where I am. I love as a social thing. Our favourite thing growing up with my children was to actually go to Bruntwood Park. And we go and do the Bruntwood Park 9 holes. It's like just a little sort of like pitch and putt
kind of thing. Yeah, it was great fun, isn't it?
Absolutely love it. It's just a fun thing. It's social, and I think that's what life should be about anyway. Doing things that make you happy, and it's the getting the exercise, the fresh air, and all the things that are good for your well-being. Which, as you've obviously mentioned the mental health side of it, and I'm sure golf is a very good one because it's you are getting the exercise, and it's for a decent length of time, isn't it?
Yeah, you're getting the exercise, and you're able to spend time with your friends. Especially this year, where a lot of people were indoors. There's a lot of people that have not had a garden or whatever. You're cooped up inside, and I think golf's a great opportunity to get yourself out there and get outdoors for a few hours. And like you say, you're not only getting health benefits in terms of fitness, exercise, you're also getting your mental health. It's great for that. So I think for people that haven't got into golf, you should give it a go. For sure. Brilliant.
And so, James, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you or make contact who wanted to approach you to be their caddy, for example, how do they make contact with you?
Well, they can make contact with me however they like. I'm on the social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that. Feel free to message me if you have any questions regarding myself or golf, anything like that. I'd be happy to chat. So feel free to get in touch.
Fantastic. And also, just so that you all know, as you know, I do these series of In Conversation with discussions. So I regularly share them on LinkedIn. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook and Instagram. And, if anybody's interested in discussing what they do, it's a really lovely way of getting to know and get a deeper understanding of the person. So take care, and thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And I will be sharing this. This will also be going on my YouTube YouTube channel, which is called Conversations with Kalini. And thank you so much, James. It's been lovely having you here today.
Thank you, Kalini. It's been great. It's been great chatting. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. And take care, everybody.